Um, this video is going to be about the Enneagram's Enneagram knowledge and the levels of health. In the Enneagram theory, there are 9 levels of health, and the way it is described is that 3 of them are healthy, 3 of them are average, and 3 of them are unhealthy. So, sort of like this. Okay? 1, 2, and 3 are healthy. 4, 5, and 6 are average. 7, 8, and 9 are unhealthy. Now, in the theory, most people spend their whole lives in here, in this average range of health. Makes total sense. And then at times, depending upon the stress that we're under, we cross over into the unhealthy range. And there are, within the Enneagram knowledge base, there's pretty good descriptors of types of behaviors occur at each of the different levels. The important thing to remember is that none of this is stable. It is more like a rubber band that flexes and contracts depending upon what's going on in your life. Normally, I think I operate somewhere around in level 4 and 5 under normal conditions. But the other couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I locked my keys in the car with 2 customers, 3 customers' groceries in the back of my car to deliver because I'm doing Instacart shopping, right? And because of the grief that I've been going through, the grieving process that I've been going through, my capacity to handle adversity is seriously limited. And so when that happened initially, I could not find the ground. The wave of helplessness was immense inside my body, and I just fell apart. And you know, typically, like when situations really get difficult to handle, if I let myself fall apart for 15-20 minutes, I can find my ground, I can figure out what to do, and I can implement. I'm a person who has been rewarded for taking action throughout my career because I can like synthesize what has to happen and like put a plan in place and implement the plan no matter what's going on. That's how I've operated. And I always thought everybody could do that, but come to find out, not everybody. There are lots of people in the world that can do that, but not everybody. But anyway, what happened, I think, sent me down here, right? And because of that, I needed help popping myself back up into the average range, okay? Come on. Minnie wants to sit on my lap. And she's going to pester and poke until I let her. No, she's settling in. Cool. Lay down. So, most of us spend all of our lives in the average levels of health. Sometimes we cross over. It's really uncomfortable when we cross over. And usually something, whatever caused us to cross over, will pass. And we will pop back up, back into our average range of where we typically operate. Now, here's the important point. How do you get up here? Like, is there anybody in the world who's in the healthy levels? I would say yes, there are. 3 examples that I can think of off the top of my head. Jimmy Carter, the Dalai Lama, probably Bishop Desmond Tutu, right? Operates up here. I don't know about the Pope. I don't know enough about him. Russ Hudson, who is my mentor in the Enneagram, he operates up here all the time. I think under stress he crosses over into the average range. He doesn't cross over into the unhealthy range, I think. I don't think it happens to him anymore. But what these practices do, contemplation, meditation, prayer, conscious labor, intentional suffering, setting intentions, those practices are what sheds the ego, the beliefs, and what moves you up the levels of health. Okay? So, what it does is puts you in control of what is happening inside of you. Remember the integral framework? The upper left quadrant, the I quadrant, was happening inside the I. It's happening inside the I. All this stuff happens inside of us. And then it gets interpreted by people from the outside looking in, right? And so all of the knowledge, the knowledge base from the Enneagram that details what the behaviors are for here, to help you understand what level you are currently operating at. It's kind of nice to have a map to know where you're operating from. That comes from external observation and conversations with people trying to find the common language. But over time, as the more and more data has been gathered, right, from people, these things have gotten more and more refined and defined. Now, the other 2 things, and I'm going to type this part up and include it with the post, okay? There is, they call this the red flag. Fear. So there is something, there are very specific things that seem to be markers for when a person is crossing over into the unhealthy range. There is also a marker of behavior that if you spend most of your time up here, I'm trying to remember what this is called, and I will look it up and add it. There's markers of behavior. So when you become more and more aware of what's happening within you by doing presence practices, by meditating, by using contemplation, by using affirmative prayer, it creates the ability to see. You're expanding your capacity to witness yourself in action, and you can watch for the behavior that indicates that you're crossing back over, you're crossing into the unhealthy range. When you can see that in action, it's really hard to see this because you're totally tied up in all of your personality shit, all of your trauma, all your crap. It's hard to see this. Other people see this and can sometimes say, look, I see this in you. You need help. But this one you can watch for yourself. And I wish I remembered what this was called. I hate that sometimes. But I'm going to put the red flag fears and whatever this name is. I will put this in the content of this email with this post. What I really want you to understand is all of us have a set point, and life happens to us, and sometimes we'll have an event, we'll have an opening, and we will have an experience of this higher level of health. But our set point is here, so eventually we return here. And sometimes we'll have things that are not so happy happen to us, and we will flex down into the unhealthy range. This actually shouldn't be so high. Well, we never know, right? We never know how high that experience is because it happens inside of us, and other people aren't having that same experience. They're having their own experience, right? But sometimes we dip down on lower levels of health, and hopefully we pop back up, right? If our set point is at 7, 8, or 9, right? And this is where suicide, murder, horrible, horrible things happen here, right? But here, pretty caustic behaviors are going on when somebody is in the unhealthy range. But hopefully, with grounding and presence and awareness, they will quickly pop back up into the average range of health. That's it for levels of health today. There will be more. Thanks. Bye-bye.